Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. Court to rule if terrorism charges against Nnamdi Kanu are valid. Court to rule if terrorism charges against Nnamdi Kanu are valid. To my dear listeners from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday slated April 8 to determine the validity or otherwise of the amended charges of terrorism and treasonable felony. The federal government slammed on Nnamdi Kanu over his alleged separatist activities. Mr. Kanu, who leads the indigenous people of Biafra (IPOB), a proscribed secessionist group in Nigeria, was rearrested and forcibly returned to the country last June after he fled his Afara Uku country home in Abia State following a military invasion of the community in 2017. The trial judge, Binta Onyako, fixed the date for ruling after hearing the defense and the prosecution over Mr. Kanu's application on Wednesday. Mr. Kanu's lead counsel, Mike Ozekome, argued that the 15-count amended charge was invalid. The entire charges do not disclose any prima facie case against the defendant, Mr. Kanu, the defense lawyer told the court. Mr. Ozekome, a senior advocate of Nigeria, argued that the defendant was unlawfully and brutally extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya, an action he said breached the African Charter on People's Rights. Challenging the court's jurisdiction to entertain the suit, Mr. Kanu's lawyer contended that the charges conferred a global jurisdiction on the court by not giving the locations where they alleged the offenses were committed. A charge must disclose the specific location where an alleged crime was committed, Mr. Ozekome said. He further told the court the prosecution is still using the proof evidence it tendered at the beginning of the trial in 2015, despite the fact that most of the earlier charges had been dismissed. It will be recalled that the judge had earlier struck out 6 of the 11 original counts on March 1, 2017. Also, Mr. Ozekome argued that the federal government charge criminalizing Mr. Kanu's leadership of IPOB was wrong, as there is no basis for such owing to the fact that IPOB prescription is a subject of an appeal of the Court of Appeal. I urge my lord to take a look at this case calmly, and you will discover that they are as hollow as a pipe, Mr. Ozekome said, urging Mrs. Onyako to discharge and acquit Mr. Kanu of the alleged crimes. But the prosecuting lawyer, Shuaibu Labaran, disagreed with the defense counsel's argument, saying Mr. Kanu's application seeking to strike out the case lacks substance. Mr. Labaran said the federal court was clothed with the statutory jurisdiction to hear and determine the suit. He referenced Section 32 of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Charge 2013, saying the Federal High Court sitting in Nigeria has the exclusive jurisdiction to try this matter. We urge the court to refuse this application for the trial of the defendants to commence in earnest, the prosecuting lawyer said. The IPOB leader was accused of various offenses, including treasonable felony and terrorism, offenses he allegedly committed in the course of his secessionist campaigns. Mr. Kanu, who was first arrested in 2015 over his separatist activities, has been rearraigned before three different judges of the court in Abuja after the first set of charges were filed against him and his former co-defendant on December 18, 2015. The current judge, Mrs. Nyako, took over the case in 2016 after two judges, Ahmed Mohammed and John Itsoho, had adjudicated on it. The previous judges withdrew from the case at different times following Mr. Kanu's allegation of bias against them. The charges were later amended after Mrs. Nyako, who took over the case